Hey all, Pixel here, Improbable Garage, and we're back on the beige. So, for those who don't remember it, this is our 2000 Honda Accord. We bought this super cheap for my wife to drive after her Prius blew the head gasket. I had a bunch of trouble with it initially with a engine code thing, with it not running properly. Took a bunch of effort, like a whole month of working on it to figure that out. Eventually solved the problem. It was the problem was multiple problems. That hose was broken and badly repaired. It had at least one bad coil. The connector for one of the fuel injectors was cracked and the wiring was cracked and frayed. So this is my wife's 2000 Honda Accord. You haven't seen it on the channel because after all those problems I had initially, it's just been dead reliable. Went through all that stuff trying to get it to get rid of the code and pass inspection, and since then it's just worked. At one point the transmission acted a little funny. We checked the fluid level was low, we put more fluid in it, it went back to acting normal. It has just driven. So now that it's been reliable for a while, we trusted enough that we're going to put some money into it. The big thing is it's getting the timing belts. That's what I'm doing today, because there's no indication over here, there's no label or anything that tells me when it was last done. I have managed to get to 47 years old doing cars all my life without ever having to do a timing belt. Mostly by buying cars without timing belts. The few Subarus I had, one was so cheap it wasn't worth paying for a timing belt kit, and the other one had just been done before I bought it, so I didn't have to care about it. So I guess for all my sins, at 47, I get to do my first timing belt. This is a dual overhead cam 6, so the belt goes around at the bottom, up over this cam, down, back up over that cam. This is not a how-to. I will put a link to a video how-to in the bottom that I found very useful prepping for this. I'm going to be using that, and I snagged the Hayes manual for it at the swap meet for a couple bucks. So yeah, that's basically going to be it. I'm just going to be digging into this. It's going to suck because it's all buried and down in the side here. But I bought the kit, timing belt, tensioner, idler pulley, water pump, because if I'm in there, I'm doing it all. Yeah, so I guess I'm just going to get into it. Alrighty, I've got all of up here pretty much stripped. Power steering pump is off, reservoir is moved, belts are off, timing covers are off, part of this mount is off. The other part I still have to get off, but it's behind the lower plastic shield. There's a couple bolts for the upper plastic shield I could do now, but what I'm going to do now is pull the lower pulley off down here, because then I can start getting that whole cover off. I've got this turned so that the marks are lined up. Both of these are marked. There's no good way to mark down here. There's supposed to be a mark on this, but I could not find it. And crankshaft turns twice for every full rotation of through everything, but the cams only turn once. So if the cams are marked at top dead center, then it is at top dead center, even if I can't find the mark on this. When I pull this off, the keyway should be straight up and down. If it's not, I'm going to reinstall it and then turn the motor over to 180 degrees out or whatever it needs to be. There's two ways to get this off. One is a specialty tool that fits into these hexes but is open in the middle so you can put a socket on it. And the other thing people use is a chain tool that wraps around it and has a big bar that holds it in place. I don't have either of those, so I've put a vice grip on, and it's clamped down into the main part, at least somewhat, not just on the ring on the other side of the damper. And it's hard against this bar, so it can't go this way, but since I'm going the other way, I'm going to have to hold this with one arm while I loosen this and just hope it all comes out pretty easy. I am going to use the impact on it to take it off because that's the easiest way. And then once this is out, I should be able to just slide the damper off, supposedly. So I've tried the cordless. The second one was the big boy corded. That is usually pretty darn good at this. There's no way to get any penetrant in there because the way it's all put together, they just won't get anywhere near the threads. There's a big honkin' washer pressed hard against there. So I think it might make sense to get the inductive heater in here, wrap it around this bolt and get it good and hot, and then let it cool, and hopefully that will crack it loose. Yeah, because that wasn't doing anything. I even hit it in the opposite direction briefly just to see if I could jar it, and yeah, it's not going anywhere. So I guess inductive heater time. I've got the inductive heater on it. I don't know what that bolt's made out of, but it's turning yellow. Oh, maybe it's turning yellow on its way to red. Just looks, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, no, I can see some cherry red now. For a good long while, it was just yellow, and it looked really strange. Like it turned into that color yellow. It looked like it had been painted. So, yeah, we're gonna get that nice and cherry red, and then we're gonna let that cool a bit, because you don't actually want to hit it while it's cherry red. You might just bend the shit out of it, and hopefully that will crack it loose. Ta-da! I love that inductive heater so much. Okay, the thing is, this might be really hot now. So this should be able to be walked off the crank. I think it's moving. I can't tell if it's moving relative to the crank or not. I'm getting a little penetrating oil in there. Okay, I think it's coming. It's hard to tell because it's splined. Yeah, it's coming. There we go. Nice. Now the nice thing about this is the oil seal is back there and doesn't ride on that pulley. So there's no concern about tearing up the oil seal, taking this off. So now that I've got that off, I gotta come in here and get the bottom bolts for this cover. Just gonna be a little exploratory because I'm not sure where all of them are. And then once I get that cover off and that other motor mount bracket off, I'll be able to start in on the getting to the actual timing belt itself. So yeah, now I'm finally to the timing belt. All of that was just to get in here. So the belt itself actually looks pretty good. No cracking, no damaged teeth that I can see, nothing like that. But it's definitely been a while in here, since somebody's been in here. So the kit comes with the belt. Comes with the water pump, which is behind here. It comes with this idler pulley. It comes with this tensioner pulley and the tensioner spring down there. So all of those are getting pulled off and replaced. The tensioner spring, I cannot even begin to show it to you, but back here there's a little ear that sticks up. Like there's a flat spot on on the tensioner, if you can see where my finger is. Behind it, there's a little ear that sticks up that's got a threaded hole in it. You're supposed to run a bolt through there. If the video is to be believed, M6 by 1. They say a 50, but Home Depot and Lowe's near me, the 50mm bolt isn't threaded all the way down. So we're going to hope that a 40 is long enough. I think I may have to put the camera down. But the idea is you thread this bolt into this impossible to reach location, and what it does, yeah, I'll have to do it once I have the camera down. What it's supposed to do is put tension on the tensioner in such a way that when the spring that holds it against the belt is released, it doesn't spring out in a way where it snaps the belt and also moves everything around. Like, it doesn't provide a sudden jolt to the whole system and shift the cams and everything, you know, rotate the cams and everything, get you out of alignment. So I'm going to feed that in, at which point it's, you know, take the whole dress off the front of the motor there, or, you know, all those things I said need to be replaced need to come off. Obviously, since I'm doing a water pump, I'm going to have to drain the cooling system. I think, yeah, I was about to say, I think if I get this all off, I will call that a good day and work on it tomorrow, but I realized I don't want to leave this with the belt exposed, and or rather, not exposed, but the cams and everything off alignment, so that there's no chance of them getting effed with. Because the biggest fear, and part of the reason I've wanted to avoid, other than just this is a pain in the ass job, is I've always feared, you know, if I get the cams and stuff aligned wrong, you immediately blow up the engine. So, yeah. I'm gonna get in there, I'm gonna thread that, and then rip and tear, I guess. So I took everything off, you saw, and then I drained the coolant, or set the coolant to be draining, and went inside. So now I'm going to pull the water pump and replace it. The water pump uses this sort of O-ring type gasket, but I put a couple globs of RTV just to hold the gasket in place so it doesn't fall off. Just going to make it, that's going to make it that much easier to get it up in there. So with the water pump off, that's going to be the last removed thing. I actually loosened a couple of these bolts and then remembered, hey, maybe I should wait till the coolant's done draining. So yeah, let's get this going. I am the luckiest SOB on the planet. I was putting in the new tensioner, tightening it down. I wasn't even hard on it, like loose, you know, I'm just trying to get it to snug. And then I hear feel that like, tink. It's the like, oh, I just broke something. Stopped immediately. Went and took off what I was using, and put on the tool, loosened it up a little bit, and then went in and threaded it with my hand. And I have no idea if this will show up well. Let me get some light on the situation here. But that bolt is broken, but has not completely snapped. Like, it's still barely held together. And it was just enough. Yeah, see, I just did that and it came apart. Like, that had microns of metal holding it together. I am the luckiest SOB on the planet that I was able to get that to come back out. Now I have to replace this bolt, which is going to suck, but I did find out the other day when I was getting that bolt for the tension thing that my local Home Depot has shoulder bolts. So if I'm really lucky, they'll have what I need. I have to take the other one back out so I can compare that. But holy crap. Wasn't, like I said, it wasn't even like reefing on it or anything. I wasn't trying to even get it. I wasn't at the point of snugging it down. I was at the point of like trying to get it tight to the point where I could snug it down. I did get out my torque wrench, but they're inch-pound measurements, so I wasn't trying to tighten it with that because I have a foot-pound one. But like, whew, I don't know what went on there, but I'm so glad it went the way it did. So I'm gonna get another one like this, and then we're gonna be back to it. The water pump is actually in, and the tensioner pulley, or the idler pulley, is in. And per the guide that I was following, that idler pulley's got blue Loctite on its nut. That's the only one that they recommended Loctiting in. So it's the only one I'm gonna Loctite in. But like, holy cow, I can't believe that that happened. I've never been that lucky before. So anyway, I gotta go get a bolt. I'm gonna come back by then, it's probably gonna be pitch black. All right, got myself some replacement bolts. They're the same length, they're the same thread pitch, they're the same diameter on the shoulder, but the heads are smaller. They're probably an 8. So I'm going to put both in for 2 reasons. One, I don't trust that other bolt now at all. But also, while these are the wrong head size for what's supposed to be in there, having the same one on either side will make the life of the future person easier. Because, dear God, you can't see anything in there. So you get down there with your tool and it'll fit on one and the other one it won't do anything. It would be massively confusing. So we're gonna make them match, and I'm gonna put them on with my smallest ratchet because now I'm completely paranoid. I hate this job. So here's the problem. The crank is very slightly ahead of top dead center. It was straight on. I'm not quite sure what shifted it. And there's no way to back it up, and there's no way to move it forward until I have the belt on at least almost the right place. Like, if I'm off a tooth, I'm not gonna smash anything. I'm like 99.9% sure. But I need the belt on so that I can do a full rotation with everything rotating to get that back to straight on, to then get everything lined up dead straight. The problem is, I've right now, you can see that piece of wood down there. That is wedging the bottommost part of the belt up into the teeth of that pulley. Because without that, it was impossible, because it would not stay in those teeth. I'll get the other 2 cams set where they're supposed to be, and then feed the belt up, and most of the time I can't get the belt to go all the way on everything. The idler pulley, which is the last thing it's supposed to be run over, it will not go up and over that. Twice now I've gotten it up and over that, but in the process somehow the rear cam has ended up several teeth forward, which is obviously way wrong. And I don't understand what I'm doing, because I don't understand why twice it's gone on, but all the other times it hasn't gone on. You know, I'll make sure, okay, it's fitted on the teeth there, it's sitting on the adjuster, you know, pulley, it's sitting in the teeth over there, it's in the groove on the water pump, not sitting up on the lip, it's in the teeth of the other one, and then it won't go over the you know, this. It'll go up, over, up, around, and over, but it won't go over this. And then twice, like I said, it's just sort of popped onto there. But both times, the rear cam has ended up forward a couple teeth. This does not have any means by which you can lock the camshafts in place. So, and that rear one, when it's in the right, it's got like a very tiny bit of wiggle room when it's in the right place. And if it goes a little too far back, it goes, it makes a fart noise and drops back. And if you get it a little too far forward, it makes a fart noise and drops forward. And I think it's sitting at top dead center is what's happening there. But I don't actually know because I'm not sure which. I think that's cylinder one over there. I don't even remember now which cylinder's what. But regardless, I've put it on, taken it off, and put it on and taken it off, and readjusted the cams, and put it on and taken it off, and readjusted it. And I haven't been able to get it even close to right. Because like I said, if I could get it so the cams were both dialed in the same place, or within a tooth of each other and within a tooth of straight up and down, that would make me feel comfortable putting the bolt in at the bottom and rotating the entire assembly through until I got the bottom dead on, and then seeing where the two cams fell and, you know, doing it from there. But I can't even get to there because, like I said, I know I'm repeating myself, I'm very aware of that, but I can't get that rear cam to stay where I need it to. And it seems like it shouldn't go anywhere because the belt is pulled tight from the crank all the way up and around it. And then pulling the belt tight to it to the other cam. So those three things should at that point be locked together when I'm trying to feed it over the thing. So I don't know how that one's getting ahead like that. But, oh God. I am tired. I am sweaty. It's well after dark and it's still gross out. If anything, it feels grosser than it did during the day. But I think I'm at the point where I need to walk away from this for the night. I think I need to come back after work tomorrow and dig back into this because I don't know what's going on and I'm out of ideas and I'm just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again and it's not going to work. And maybe if I come back and look at it with fresh eyes, I'll be able to get it to do what I need it to do. I've got water I got sweat dripping out of my gloves. I think that's a sign that I'm done. So yeah, I will pick this up tomorrow. It's the next day, and I was right. I needed to be done for the night. Because I came out, put the belt on, it went on without any hassle. The cams stayed lined up, and my partner just came out and helped me double check. They're just slightly behind at the moment, but that's because this is slightly behind at the moment. The spot when they're all lined up is top dead center in cylinder one on the compression stroke, which means of course you've got all that pressure in that cylinder. I think that's why that back cam kept going. I think I may have mentioned that before, that I think that's due to it being a top dead center. If you get it tipped one way or the other, that compressed air is enough to push the piston down. So it's really hard to actually hold it right there. If I was doing this job again, I'd be really tempted to pull plug one and see if that made a difference in trying to do it. But anyway, I got the belt on. She came out and without releasing the tensioner, we went through one full rotation of the engine and made sure everything lined dead up. When this at the bottom was dead on, the two cams were dead on. Then I released the spring, where is it? And then I released the spring retainer on the tensioner. Nothing moved. And then we went through another full rotation of the engine. When I say full rotation, I mean crank twice, cams once, and everything stayed lined up. So at that point, the engine's gone through its entire cycle twice. Nothing is hit, nothing's jammed, everything's still dead on. So I know I've got that belt in there right. So every new part is now installed. So I need just to, I've got literally a line of parts. Normally I'm bad. You'll see me when I work, I'll just make piles. But with this, I wanted to keep everything very together because it was a lot of steps. So this is what I did. Every single thing is laid out with its respective hardware in the order it came off. The big bolt that goes there I was using to turn the engine over. That's why it's not there. But so literally I just have to pick up each successive piece. And then if obviously there's stuff over here, the belts are over here, and I've got to put the power steering pump on and put its belt on before I put the full engine mount assembly on, because it runs around that engine mount. But at this point it's just donkey work. It's just the physical hassle of bolting on, bolting on, bolting on, bolting on. And once I've got it all reinstalled, I'm going to have to fill and bleed the cooling system. I'm also going to be doing a oil change on this because it's due for an oil change. And then I'm done. And yeah, this sucked. It wasn't horrible. I've done way worse jobs, but it sucked. I definitely recommend, if you want to learn how to do a timing belt, try and learn on a like a straight, like inline engine without two separate banks, and preferably without two separate cams, or on something where you have the ability to lock everything in place. Because I know there's some engines where you can put a bolt in, or some of them have a specialized clip if it's a single head but dual cam that like locks the two cams together. That would have made anything that would have been able to lock these cams in place would have made this job so much easier, because that little bit of wiggle was just enough to make everything miserable last night. Also, like I said, I know I mentioned at the beginning, there's a video down below that you have to put a retainer bolt in when you're taking it apart. Make sure you take that retainer bolt back out and keep it out, because I thought that was part of my problem, was the tensioner might have been extended too much. But that bolt actually, despite the way it seemed like it should have pushed the tensioner, seemed like it was making it worse. So I don't know. I had put that bolt in to see if it made it better. It didn't. I took it back out again. That may have been part of my problem last night. I don't know. But anyway, now I just gotta donkey work my way through reassembling this whole mess. All right, and I think we're done. Everything reinstalled, belt's tight, other belt is on. Cruise control module, power steering is hooked back up and tightened down. Covers are on, motor mounts on. So, I think I'm done. There's no more parts over there. The only bolt I have left is the one I broke. So yeah, I think we're done. I hate doing jobs across time like this, because even one day and I get to a point where I'm like, oh hell, do I remember? So let's find out if it works or if I killed the car. Seems perfectly happy. I lost some power steering fluid, clearly. But yeah, it ran rough for just long enough to make me terrified before smoothing out. So refill the power steering fluid, burp the cooling system, because I lost a ton of coolant out of it. And then shut it off and do an oil change, because I want to get this done before I do the oil change on it, because I want to know those are separate. But yeah, I did a timing belt for the first time in my life, and I didn't kill anything. Win.